The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads Radio. Sackheads Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is a pleasure, as always, to have you. It is the 2nd of November.
It is.
Just a couple days, folks. Just a couple days.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Just a few days until everyone will be whipping out their electoral votes and just putting it all over the country's face.
I thought that was Ken. It sounded just like him.
Just like him.
Looked just like him.
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely did. Oh, man. I know.
You son of a...
What'd you do now?
What'd you do, BZ?
PZ, you okay?
Are you all right?
Well, all right. First, my laptop died.
Yes.
2 days ago, I took it to 2 separate places to try to get it repaired. First person said, hey, door stop. Second person said, hey, paperweight. And now I've got the wife's computer and it doesn't like any of the networks.
So
God, I love technology.
What you're saying is it looks pretty good now. Looks like it's going to be all right.
No. Oh, no. No, this is me not saying nice words
And
right
to be
now.
fair, I did not provide any technical assistance to BZ, so this one cannot be blamed on me.
Absolutely. This is not your fault for once.
I might have turned on his computer before it broke. But we're not discussing that right now.
When you touch it, it broke. Speaking of breaking stuff, next Tuesday night, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, we'll start the SHR media coverage of Electionzilla 2016.
Election Zilla Zanza.
Yes, Zilla Zanza 2016. Start off 5 p.m. We'll start off as kind of like this warm-up. We'll sit around and just kind of discuss everything we'll be watching for the evening, what the lineup's going to be.
We'll be bullshitting.
We'll be bullshitting.
It'll be great. I can tell. Just you wait.
I already have the election whiteboard prepped
We do.
out.
Yes,
So
you do.
Here's our
You do.
lineup so far. So, covering the West and the Central, and we may give them a little help. BZ is going to be all over that, following everything that needs to be followed in those areas. South and the East, we have Jersey Joe, who's also going to be doing a lot of engineering stuff for us, which is huge. I can't say thank you enough to him. Huge. Northeast, Jeff Dunetz, which I do have to say my condolences.
Sympathies, right.
Yeah, to Jeff and his family. His father passed away last evening. And, you know, he was really close with Dad. Great family. Of course, he's a broadcaster here with The Lid Show. He writes The Lid. Just great guy, great patriot, great family. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Jeff and his family during this tough time. But he will be here next week, helping us out with the election. DC coverage, the exceptional one, who will be on from 6 p.m. Pacific to 8 p.m. Pacific. We'll be covering just everything in and out of DC during his show and for us as a correspondent as the evening goes on.
Yep.
Social media, Miss Carrie Donovan will be following everything that is social media at that event or for that event. So we're excited about that. And of course, we're going to be emceeing as we always do.
I think I have Anchor written there. Like we're the anchor.
You do have Anchor.
We're the one that we bring the show down.
Is that what ANKER meant?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wondered. Thank you.
Yeah, what?
And of course, always following breaking news countrywide and using all of his resources that he has, Danny Butcher will be joining us throughout the night. Danny's going to have the hotline to us. This is his, I think, 115th election that he's covered.
I thought we
But
didn't
who's
have those
counting?
117th.
Well, I think it went all the way back to the Kings, right, when we were still in England.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he was covering that for ye old High Plains Pundit.
Right.
So he's definitely got the ability. And Danny's one of those guys. He has so many connections, so many places. It's not even funny. So he gets us some good information. So we're pulling out the whole team for next week.
gonna
We
be
may
a
have a
really
couple
big
surprise
show.
guests. Agador, we may speak to Agador and some friends, getting an international perspective on our election, which would be kind of fun. I'm hoping it's just a group of drunk Aussies.
And I'm hoping that they're pro-Trump, because otherwise we're going to hang up on them and tell them to keep the hell out of our politics.
Nope, politics are out next week. We're just covering the news. So we'll
That's
start
not
here
true.
at
You know
8
we're
p.m.
gonna have-
Oh, yeah, once I
Come
start
on.
drinking. So next week starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with the Sackheads doing the warm-up, throwing it over to Ken.
Yeah.
Ken will do his normal time of 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., and then we'll come on Eastern Time at 11 p.m., hopefully start getting the returns, be able to report the returns. If it's going to be a close one, we'll try to ride it out. The good part is starting on the Pacific Coast, even if we go to midnight or 1, that's 4 a.m. on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah, most of that stuff will be done.
Most of the contested returns are going to be in the East Coast.
Yeah.
So it'll be...
So we won't know anything in Florida or North Carolina
Yeah.
or Ohio
Right.
or Pennsylvania,
Right.
probably, by the close of business.
We will be giving Ken full time next week, not 2/3. He will do his entire show. His appearances may be cut 2/3 long as everybody else, but
Right.
he'll be there.
And that's just to make up for the fact that we're actually going to go 1 1/3 longer. So we
Right.
had to give him...
And we're giving him a whole 2 hours. Now,
Right.
granted, it will be while nobody's listening,
Right.
right? Because it's dinner time.
And during the time change.
No, but if you haven't heard Ken's kind of election night special, he does an amazing job being right there in D.C. He's got his ear to the ground, and he knows people who know some people that rob some people. So he...
Whoa. Why do they got to be Robinson? Ken, I apologize for the blatant bigot once again, making a robbery reference because of the tonation of your skin.
had nothing to do with that.
I'm going to apologize.
So make sure you check in. We're going to kick up the social media starting early on our end. We'll be posting to the website, shrmedia.com. It's really going to be a full-blown event for the evening. We're here for the long haul. And we've done things like this before. This isn't our first rodeo, Cowboy.
Last year we had, what, 1 million?
Last year was crazy.
Last year we
Crazy
we
the
hit 1
numbers
million,
we
I
had
think.
on our election night special.
Yeah.
So we will take it again, and we're again, it's an honor to be helping you guys out and
Yous.
being part of it.
That was a 10-minute commercial.
It was, but it's an important thing. It really
Happy
is.
Halloween.
Happy
2
Halloween.
days late.
I'm an election virgin,
Hey,
so treat me kindly.
we will treat you with kid gloves.
Uh-huh.
Because I am
And
I am
then
quite
boxing
afraid.
gloves.
I'm-
And then some boxing gloves.
Hey, BZ.
Yes.
We're going to train you right.
Okay. Well, the deal is that I'm very, very afraid because who knows, for example, how California is going to go.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm on the edge of my seat.
I am too.
I think in California, Trump may win the popular vote, but all the electoral votes will still go to Hillary.
But
Don't
it
ask
says
me
a
how
lot.
that works.
It says a lot. Hey, I know everybody who's normally in our chat room that isn't there tonight. I know exactly what they're doing.
They're watching Game 7. of the
They're
World
watching
Series.
Game 7.
Yeah.
It is 6-4.
We are talking to ourselves.
Bottom of the 8th. Cubs, Chicago is up. I'm sorry, Cleveland is up with a runner on second. So the 6-3 game 2 innings ago where it was kind of open is just tightened up. It's a lot like the election. As we're getting really close, the blowout is ending and it's getting really, really tight. So 2 outs, bottom of the 8th, 6-4. Chicago is still leading Cleveland, but Cleveland does have a runner on second. Rajay Davis up to bat and Chapman
Former
pitching.
Oakland Athletic.
Yep. So it's really, this has been a great series. And didn't have a horse in this race personally,
Right.
but the baseball that was played in this World Series was amazing to watch. 2 good teams, really good teams, with some really great players. For me, with the Boston connection to both teams, the A's have
The
a lot
A's
of
have a
connections
lot,
to both
yep.
teams.
Yep.
You know, you have Tito and Coco Crisp over in Cleveland. Then Chicago, I have Johnny
His
Lester.
parents hated him.
It's not his real name. That's just what his grandmother called him growing up. Hey, You should have
Well, I'm
been.
glad my grandmother
That
didn't
guy, I'll
call
tell
me.
you what, that guy is a fan favorite.
Yeah, everyone loves Coco.
Everyone
I'm
loves
glad grandma
Coco.
didn't call me Captain Crunch.
Well, his brother
Oh,
had
lucky
it harder.
stars.
I mean, growing up with the name Count Chocula is really not the easiest thing to do as a young man, but it's still better than a boy named Sue.
I disagree. That is a great song.
How are you?
How do you do?
Doing well. Look, I brought in, I know we have some stuff to get to, but I do want to thank B-Dub
Box wine,
for supplying us with some delicious treats.
diabetes.
One of the things she told me is she said, listen, Sean always makes fun of you for your big nose. Don't eat any of this candy because I don't want you to getting a belly like him because then you won't have anything to hold over his head. These are her words, not mine.
Ow.
Her words, not mine.
Ow.
So I had specific instructions to set that on your desk, and I can't touch it. So if you see me eat a piece of candy, Sean, you need to smack my big nose away.
It's easy to do.
And that
It's
was
all-
per
it's-
her.
It's literally right next to me.
Yeah, she
across the
said
room.
if you reach
I think
for a
it's
piece of
funny that a
candy-
woman who drinks wine from a box is judging me. Like, seriously.
Oh, she's judging me too, right?
That's
she
like
calls me big nose.
It's almost
By
like
the
a
way-
hobo judging me for driving a Ferrari. Like, I wouldn't have got the red one. You get stopped all the time in that thing.
By the way, thanks for having her call me Big Nose now. That was great. I don't know how you worked that out, but I don't appreciate that. I gotta be honest. We want to wish our ambulance chasing hack speedy recovery.
How's he feeling?
He's still down and out, but he's got some help. I was able to help him file some documents
Yeah, he
with the
was-
court, which is good. Which is good. He didn't read the fine print where I'm taking 33%. But
Oh, I'm sure he read the fine print. Trust
no.
me.
I wrote it in crayon after I took the documents.
Oh, well, that's good. That should be completely legit.
Yeah,
then.
no, it'll be legit. Don't
Here's
worry.
my favorite part about that.
What?
As messed up as he is, still home. Is the ventilator still in?
A ventilator, I think, is still, but it's attached to the wrong end,
Well-
which is weird.
I thought it was attached to his iron lung.
That he does call it his iron lung
He
now.
does. He does, and he talks out of it sometimes,
Well,
which is
all
weird.
the time. He's a lawyer, right?
Right.
I mean, that's all he talks out of. He's a mute otherwise. I just think it's amazing that even as bad off as he is, and as much as he's struggling, just day to day, right? Feeding tube, iron lung, the whole 9 yards.
Right, colostomy bag.
Right. He still could text you with this one good hand that's left.
It's actually one finger,
And
which is
to
bizarre.
have you come over, bring up paperwork
right.
to file. I think that is so attorney of him. I'm proud of him.
No, it's amazing. No, but we do wish him a speedy recovery. Look, we have some stuff to get to. We have a lot to get to. And
We do. It is now 6-6, bottom of the 8th.
Wow. I know our General Jackassery got cut a little short, but I want to talk ballsy Iran, Little Kim, and British Eagles for a second.
Well, I think you've covered just about everything there is on the planet with that.
Yeah. Look, so I know I only have 15 minutes, so I can spend a couple minutes on each. Ballsy Iran. Have you heard what these guys are saying now? This is almost like a surprise Sean segment.
Well, it's not because I know,
Okay.
and I think it's absolutely amazing. Because it's like they've taken a page out of Little Kim's book.
Right.
This is a
Yes.
whole new level.
Yes.
A whole new level for Iran.
So for our folks that don't know what the hell we're talking about right now, Iran has said that they are going to have Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps troops within the United States and Europe at the direction of Iran's supreme leader. Look, I can't make this up.
We will fight the infidels wherever they are. We will
Look,
bring them to
I was
your
wondering why I was seeing Russian T-34 tanks in my neighborhood.
Actually, weren't they American Abrams?
No,
No, these were Russian T-34s.
They called
I can
for a
tell
tow
because
truck.
Oh, they called for a tow truck?
yeah,
Okay.
each T-34 hammer comes with a massive a tank comes with a massive hammer to bash it into first gear.
Or does that, or is that what bends the turret? Anyways,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. Either way. And
Either way, they
those,
sit there and get hammered.
those run on vodka, right?
Right, I'm almost positive, pure 100% absolute.
Wasn't there a MiG, like the 25,
That could.
that could run on vodka?
Yeah,
Which is amazing, but we're digressing.
Well, you're right. The Abrams can run on damn near anything.
yes.
Yeah.
Abrams is like the deuce and a half. As long as it was oil based and you poured it in, it would pretty much start.
Right,
yeah.
which means if you actually melt liberals down and pour them into the tank.
Damn it! Get out of my head.
Right? How
There's
embarrassing
only
would that
room
be?
enough in here for me.
What's fueling this thing? Rosie O'Donnell. You'll be able to go forever because she's greasy as fuck.
Yeah. If that thing would float, you could go around the world.
Twice.
Twice.
They need to make a rocket like that and
Well, a
put
rocket.
her ass on it. So the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they're saying we're going to be in the U.S. and Europe very soon, so according to the Iranian military commander. And they're said they're going to be operating with the goal, their purpose is to bolster Iran's hardline regime. And they've basically said, and here's a quote, the whole world should know that the IRGC will be in the U.S. and Europe very soon. Talking about how they don't believe in borders and that they're the guardians of the Islamic Republic. And under that supreme leader, they'll be defending the supreme leader through their presence, and that there are no borders and there are no limits.
Oh, so and that's kind of funny because, not to make a comparison, but don't we have a president who doesn't really believe in borders, and we also have a woman running for office that doesn't really believe in borders either?
Right.
That's
so what
funny.
I want to know is how they're going to infiltrate the U.S., or are they going to come in uniform?
Oh, no.
Like, are they going to come from the Mexican border before the wall's built, or are they going to come like surreptitious, or are they like I don't know, Russia did with no military patches, or are they going to come in uniform, fully marked up?
I'm sorry, Vice President Biden, did you want to chime in on this? Yeah, they're going to come in uniform. Some of them are already here. Have you ever been to a 7-Eleven?
Mr. Vice President, this is why we love you.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big freaking deal. 2-for-1 taquitos? How do you beat that?
And Mr. Vice President, we're really pleased to have you here today. But
thank you.
could you talk real briefly? I know there are 7-Elevens that you're saying.
What?
Can you talk about taxis and how Uber and Lyft maybe has
A lot of them in taxis already.
Yeah,
A lot of them in taxis.
Has Uber and Lyft kind of cramped their
They
style
drive,
with
they
getting
drive,
into
they
our
smell.
country?
It's really bad. Have you ever been to New York in the summertime? Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Thing smells like there's just a pound of malaki in the back.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for being here, sir. We have to move on.
That's cool. Can I still play with the stripper in the corner?
Yeah, absolutely. Please, well, that's why she's here for you.
Yeah,
Where's Barry?
Oh, well, hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. That was weird. So nice of the Vice President to join us this evening. Ah, good times.
How did he get in?
Well, obviously...
BZ, did you let him in? Seriously, you step away from your desk for a second.
Listen, he had his Secret Service contingent.
That
What am I supposed to do? Say no?
That
Yes.
explains why there's two guys in sunglasses in here walking around. I honestly thought they were the maitre d'.
But why do they keep high-fiving you?
I kept calling one guy Garcon. It was really embarrassing.
Yeah,
for
but he
all of us.
brought you a Gatorade,
He did.
which is weird.
And before everyone goes, oh, it's racist, blah, 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 look up Joe Biden Dunkin' Donut comments. It's not me.
Or are you talking about cops?
No, he said, have you ever been to a Dunkin' Donuts? Talking about Arab people.
Oh, jeez.
There's one in every single one. Blah, 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 blah.
Little Kim.
Lil Kim.
2 things on Little Kim this week. Number 1, where the hell's his wife? Number 2, he wants to launch more rockets.
My second question immediately becomes, when you ask where's his wife, is have they fired an ADAC gun recently? Have they fired any anti-aircraft and not to the sky? Because if so, I have an idea with it. And we all remember who his wife is, right? She was the musician who did like a porn video with some other musicians before he got married and all this other stuff. And everyone was worried once that video surfaced. And if I'm wrong, correct me, but this is how I remember it. Everyone was worried that once that video surfaced, she would die. And
did
now,
the video surface?
yeah. So, the video surfaced like a year and a half ago. Not outside North Korea, just inside North Korea, but it surfaced. So, Ken says that he believes with the name like Little, she's probably in Compton. That's a really good point, Ken. We should have him check there. Hey, does North Korea, are they still on the Twitter machine? We should tweet that to them.
We should. Wasn't that was his ex-girlfriend, right? That he had killed?
Yes. Well, sorry, disappeared.
Disappeared.
This guy is just... He leads a country that has nukes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Bill Clinton. This man has nukes. Can you imagine? Imagine. I don't care. Not even the political side of it. Don't bring it. I'm not going to go down the politics of who she is for this first lady. Any first lady randomly disappeared off the face of the earth for a while. Can you imagine how insane that would be?
Look, it's so insane that Bill Clinton didn't do it.
Right. Well, but he was over there on an airplane a couple years ago.
But
So-
the first lady did not disappear while Bill Clinton was president.
Okay, I thought you meant with Kim Jong Un's first lady.
No.
Oh yeah.
I'm
So
talking.
if any first lady
If any
was
first
gonna
lady
go
would be
AWOL,
disappeared, it would have been her, I think.
and she would have had good reason to leave him.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
God, after everything he did, horrible.
And now Little Kim wants to shoot more rockets.
Well, I mean, if you have one,
We do have a Little Kim quote. It says at the bottom of the show, it says, tune in Tuesday, 08 November 2016 for, quote, Erection Day.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
quote is from Little Kim.
he
You
was
see
supposed
right
to
there.
actually record that for us. We haven't
He
had a
didn't,
chance to
which
do
is
it.
weird.
But the line he was going to read for us was, tune in Tuesday, 8th of November for Erection Day.
Yeah. Was it going to be his?
And we were, hey, it was just interesting that he took a look at American politics for us. So, but I guess that's not going to
Oh,
happen
you know,
now.
when he's a big fan of the show, I think he really likes the fact that we make fun of him.
He enjoys that.
He never disappears people that make fun of him. What?
What? Que paso?
Hello.
So,
Let's talk British Eagles.
the British Eagles.
Are you familiar with this story?
The band, the Eagles?
No.
Okay.
No. Are they British? They're not British. They've had a song called Hotel California. They got to be American, right?
Oh, yeah, you got me.
No, the British Eagles. So I'm not talking about the band that covers Eagles songs.
Right.
The group, I think they were called the Beatles. But no, these are actually, the UK actually wants to start using Eagles to take down drones that are flying contraband into their prisons.
I think it's a great idea.
That's a phenomenal idea. So first of all, this idea kind of has a little bit of wings. See what I did there? Here in the U.S. with falconry, because of course we'd use a falcon, right?
Glenn Fry is very, very spry.
So, but
What?
What?
I said Glenn Fry is very
Is that
spry.
Dick and Jane book? What does that mean?
The rain and plane in Spain fall mainly on the plain?
Glenn Fry, the Eagles.
Oh,
All right, over all of our heads.
totally
Okay, all
over my
right.
head.
Okay, I'm going back to working on the laptop now.
totally over my head.
So
I was like,
the Eagles go on.
so they want to use them to start taking down drones. First of all, so why wouldn't they use falconry or falcons? Was my first question.
Right.
And then I thought, why not use the symbol of America to
American
take
Eagle?
down drones?
American Eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah, why
to
not?
take down drones trying to bring shit into prisons.
Well, or just over the border or anywhere.
I mean, think about it. Can you think about who these British folks were thinking? Oh, what bird could we possibly use to stop a contraband from coming into? The Americans kicked our ass a couple times. What's their symbol? The bloody eagle. Yeah, let's use that because we want to win.
Best part was that was actually a direct recording of British officials deciding to use this program.
That may or may not. And don't ask how we got that, folks. Let's just say with BZ's accent, he had to do some undercover work.
Well, and he got in for us, and that's all that counts. Well, and I don't know if you saw tied to the story, the U.S. military now has this electronic weapon for drones, and this technology actually was marketed towards law enforcement. I remember like 10 years ago reading about this. And essentially, it's like a tiny EMP.
Yeah.
The theory when it was developed for the cops was if you were in a pursuit, it was almost like a little wheeled rocket.
Yeah, it would shoot out
Remember
from the
that?
front of the patrol car.
Right, and go under the car in front of it,
And
fire
short
an
it
EP
out.
and short it out.
Yep.
It never caught legs for some reason. I'm sure it's a
Well,
million-
because it had wheels.
Right, that's a good point.
Thanks.
But the same sort of idea is now being used by the military for drones because it's found that ISIS has been arming drones and using them to attack. So
I wonder where they got that idea from. Maybe Amazon.
that's weird. Also this week, did you see that there's a video of an ISIS militant, a group of militants attacking an abandoned Iraqi tank? It was an Abrams that we gave to the Iraq with a Russian anti-tank weapon and destroying it. Now the military is very, very concerned about deploying tanks because they don't know how many of these they have. So just when you think ISIS is on the run, damn it, we were so close.
So close.
Well, who provided all the equipment to ISIS? You ever see any ISIS equipment driving around that's from the Russians?
No, it's all American.
It's all American. How much money did we leave back there in equipment? Yes, that's right. Your taxpayer dollars, close to $1 billion.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And also, all the military bases they raided in Syria and took over. When it's so funny when they try to paint ISIS as this ragtag group.
Why
of guys.
wouldn't they? They had great equipment.
Right. They stormed military bases in Syria, who has a pretty able army, or did at the time, and took all of these items from the Syrian army.
And you know what's really interesting now is with Russia fighting ISIS, and ISIS has American equipment, Russia gets to find out exactly how their technology and equipment will work against U.S. technology and equipment.
That's strange.
In real-world fighting conditions.
That's really odd.
Yes, and as I pointed out in Twitter earlier, China recently revealed their stealth aircraft.
Yes, J-21?
And shock of shocks, I wonder what it looks like.
A B-52.
The F-35, to which I replied, oh, the joke's on them.
Yeah, it ain't ever going to fly, pal. It's almost like we set them up right. We set them up for it. It was outstanding. Yeah, we'll push this one out, and then when they try to reproduce
Anybody that knows who John Boyd is knows that when you gold plate an airplane, it doesn't work.
Yes.
And the F-35 is nothing but what you get when you have a consortium of people attempting to make one particular airframe do everything, when in fact it does nothing.
Because it's cheaper.
Yeah, and they said,
money.
People were saying, oh, the F-35 can't dogfight. Well, no shite it can't dogfight. It weighs about twice as much. It weighs almost into bomber territory.
Yes.
You wanted it to go vertical. You wanted it to go horizontal.
Yep, not like
good
the
luck
22.
with that.
The 22 was a good design. But again, that's this administration. I'm telling you, it's
Hang
this
on.
administration saying, oh, we need to turn around and be friends with our friends and have
Wait
them
a second.
collaborate.
Are we talking about women or aircraft?
Aircraft.
We want it to go vertical. We want it to go horizontal.
Aircraft
I got
still.
confused for a moment.
I know he
aircraft.
was.
Okay.
Yeah, we want our neighbors and our friends to be involved in this build and blah, 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 blah. No, we'll finish it and then sell them the dumbed-down model, just like we always do. But that's their way of trying to appease our neighbors and the UN, and it weakens our military is all it does, because now they have the technology that we have.
I always said if you wanted to make a great Air Force, what you do is you build 1,000 F-5s and teach all of our pilots to fly the F-5 and then upgrade its avionics when you need to. And then you'll have 1 billion fighters ready at a moment's notice, and they don't cost $300 million each.
So basically the theory would be to do to aircraft what China has done with soldiers.
Yeah.
Yes,
Overwhelming numbers.
except
Actually train them.
where would you put the pointy little nose of those things in a female? I just want to know.
Wait, are you
That would
talking
be
about
awfully-
Chinese troops?
Awfully
talking about-
unwieldy.
We're up against a break.
I have one story to share from this week.
Okay.
This is a true story. I was providing some instruction to a group of people, and I was talking about some significant dates, and one of the significant dates I threw out was December 7th. And this is an American that asked me this question.
Oh, wait, I think I know
What
where
day
you're
is the
going.
7th?
They asked me, why is December 7th a significant date?
I was afraid you were
And at
going to
which
say
point
that.
you stroked out and died?
True story. To which case, I remained professional in my decorum.
Good for you.
And I said, what the fuck are you talking about, you stupid, ignorant fuck? I bet you're voting for Bernie Sanders, even though he's off the ballot, or Hillary Clinton, you ignorant, progressive, liberal.
Inside voice, huh? Use your inside voice.
Right,
Good
he
job.
did.
Yeah, no, hey, that's
That's
good.
what I was screaming in my head, but I actually said, that's the day in 1941 where the Imperial Japanese made a surprise attack against the island of Oahu and Pearl Harbor and several military installations
You're better than I.
in Hawaii.
You're better than I.
Yes, you.
And
were.
everybody looked at this individual like, are you freaking kidding
Oh, I
me?
would have filled him with false information. Oh, I would have made up with shit.
Oh, that's-
and then
that's-
they would have told all their friends like they knew they were right? Like the next time they had coffee, they're like, oh yeah, December 7th. Oh yeah, December 7th, torn sock day. I'll tell you
That's
what.
right. That relates to the 4th of Cunegonda. That's the person that invented the barbecue.
Right. Thank goodness for that. It just embarrassed me.
I was appalled.
I know you have to educate.
How old was this person?
I was appalled. I would say mid to late 40s.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No way.
Yes. Mid to late 40s.
I could believe early 20s, late teens.
No, mid to late 40s.
That's painful.
That is
Sad.
shameful.
I actually have
I'm out of words.
I have a comment from that person about it.
Go ahead.
So that's their response to you. Take that however you want, but we're up against the break, so we'll cover that. On
It's
the other
too bad you don't have me.
side. Me. We'll be back here on the Sackheads Radio
That's
Show,
the Sackheads when we destroy things.
live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying calf was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. So you know it's getting close to go time in Chicago and Cleveland when I get an alert on my phone telling me that there are almost 8,000 people who just signed on and listened to the Chicago Police Department scanner.
Did Chicago take the lead? Why are we even doing a show right now?
Yeah, what are the 5 people listening? Everybody else is going, Cubs, Cubs!
There's over 10,000 people listening to that feed.
They'll catch us on the replay. It's top of the 9th, 6-6. If this goes into extra innings in Game 7 of the World Series, if this is the greatest World Series game and we're missing it talking on this show, I'm going to be a little upset. I'm not going to lie.
Now that is funny.
It is. Oh, yeah, it is just, it's tight. Wow.
Why don't we just cut this off at 9 o'clock if they're in extra innings?
And then start again afterwards?
And we'll go down the street
get drunk
to the bar and watch the extra innings and then come back and finish the show.
It's top of the 9th, 2-1. 3-1 pitch, 1 out with a runner on first. Chicago's at bat. So, this is just crazy. This is absolutely
Because
crazy.
the last time I left it, when we had a real quick dinner, they were 5-1.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Is
closed.
the last time I saw it, and I thought, okay, well, all right, there we go.
They should be pretty good. And Cleveland, you got to give them credit. They fought back. They did. They fought back. So far it's 3-1, 1 out. I'll follow it, and I'll let you know as soon as I see anything right here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
You know, and even no matter how this game turns out, the fact that it's 6-6 in the 9th inning, this has to go down as one of the great series.
If Chicago does not win, Chicago will burn tonight.
Oh yeah.
Even if Chicago does win, Chicago might burn tonight.
Chicago's going to burn
But it'll be
tonight.
a joyous burn.
Right. Chicago's going to burn.
It'll be a
They'll
joyful
be roasting
burn.
marshmallows.
Yes. If they lose, Cubs fans, and Wrigley Field is stacked.
Can you name, are they watching it live at Wrigley
I think
Field?
they're watching it live at Wrigley. I think they brought loud fans in
So
to
let
put
me
it up
ask
on
you
the
this.
big screen.
Have you, besides this series, name another great World Series.
2004?
No.
Red Sox?
Yeah, no, I remember. I was listening. We were on the air.
Yes. Yes, we were. Yes, we were.
We were on the air.
No, 2004 we weren't. I was still in Boston.
Okay. We
No, it
were
was
on the
2000
air when Boston won the series.
Yeah, in 11.
Yeah, 11.
Yep. No, I was going to say, it definitely wasn't 04 because I was at my sister's house watching, and it was just after my dad died in August, and it was a very emotional win for us. So, update. Runner on third on a throwing error.
Wow.
1 out. Top of the 9th, 2-2 count right now.
3-2, full count.
3-2. This is just crazy.
The next pitch is the ball, in case you were wondering. If you show 2-2 count.
I mean, all right, I'll break in if they score because we got to go. So coming up this segment.
Why are we doing this show? Okay, go ahead, Sean. This is your segment.
Hillary fucked by Huma's Wiener probe. It's a slippery situation. That's the title of this.
And nothing pornographic about that title.
No, it's actually a lot of truth into that. Strikeout, 2 outs. Top of the 9th, 2 outs. Runner on third.
He bunted foul. They tried a suicide squeeze. Squeeze.
Really?
Yeah, it's different
Kim
than a
Jong-un
suicide
was
squeeze.
commentating?
If it was a suicide squeeze, if it would have been successful.
Hey, there was a petition. I'm just going to go. I can't get into politics right now. There was a petition to have Bob Uecker call the game that had like 650,000 signatures to call the entire series.
That would have been amazing.
I thought that would have been one of the best things ever.
Yes.
I thought that would have been great. So
at least call one game.
Oh, man.
Or an inning, right?
We cannot call the game as much as I would like to.
Just a bit outside.
People are requesting we call the game, but I can't do it because we only got implied oral consent, not expressed written consent for Major League Baseball. So
Right.
we don't have the ability to do a play-by-play. So
we could change the name and make it a hypothetical situation.
We could call it the
Oakland.
No, we could still call it the Cleveland Native Americans,
right? And
against
the Chicago Little Bears,
Grizzlies,
Little Bears,
or
Bear Babies.
Bear Babies.
Yes.
That would be a good one too.
The Bear Babies.
Oh, this is not at all stressful. So it came out this week that just after we got off air last week, as always does, they might be just reopening an investigation a little bit. The FBI is on a certain Hillary. Just the tip. Hillary Rodham Clinton. The announcement came first to Congress before anybody else via a letter. Mm-hmm. I have my theories on that. That during an investigation...
Please stop raping me. That's what that was.
No. Oh, boy. It's 3 outs. Cleveland's coming up bottom of the ninth.
You can't call the game.
I can't call play-by-play. I can give you scores.
Okay.
So, oy vey. So
look, I got it from here. You're all discombobulated.
No,
now.
I can do this.
You sure?
So the NYPD was investigating allegations of underage sexting between Anthony Weiner, Huma Abedin's now estranged husband, and a 15-year-old girl.
Because Weiner's Weiner.
During that investigation, under a file called Life Insurance, found a bunch of emails. Those emails, though we don't know the content, somehow were directed to the original FBI investigation on Hillary Clinton and her private server.
Some emails.
Some emails.
Some air quotes.
I have two theories on this going right now.
Go.
Number one, the NYPD said to the FBI, hey, this is going to come out. It has to come out because of our investigation. If you do not get out ahead of it, you are going to look like an idiot.
And we're going to do something about it.
That's one.
We're going to do something about
it. Probably.
Yeah.
I also know through a reliable source that there was a lot of internal grumblings going on.
I can tell you all about that if you need to know.
Yes, so we have that angle as well, and I'm actually going to give you the floor for that in a minute. But my second angle on why Comey did it notified the way he notified is that letter went out before Loretta Lynch and Barack Obama knew about it and could squash it.
Yep.
So
absolutely,
I think he was going to. He had to fall on a sword, whether he's doing it to do the right thing or to save his ass. He was going to fall on a sword.
I think he had no choice because his agency would have looked complete
horrible.
Yep.
Already worse than
I
he's
think
made.
He had no choice.
And then through all of that, BZ and I had a conversation in which I would like you to share the information you have now as to what's going on and where we're at, because it's a big deal.
The first thing that I found out very interesting about all of this is the very first two responses that came out of Hillary Clinton following this revelation was that the letter Comey sent was just to Republicans. Number one, that's a lie. The letter went to both sides of the aisle. Number two, the other thing that occurred is we didn't know about it because the Wi-Fi was shut off on the plane. And then the media picked that up, and that became the meme. Yep. We just found out about it just as soon as everyone else found out about it. What do you know about Wi-Fi on a plane? Oh, that's right. It has a toggle switch off and on. There's also a journalist by the name of Brian Tao who sent out a tweet that said at 11:24 a.m., which is when this came out, 10:28:16, the Wi-Fi has been left on the plane. It is on. Hello, lies, number one, and number two. Interesting. So her very first initial response
is more lies.
Is you can't do it.
So your first response to all your lying is another lie.
Do you expect anything else? Does she know how to do anything else? I mean, what is she at this point? What is she going to say? Is she going to tell the truth? She can't.
Anyway, we were talking. I happened to be in another town at the time, and I called up Sean because he'd sent me some information about what was going on, and I said, the reason that he came out with that is because had he not, there would have been absolute open revolt within the FBI, and people would have dropped dimes, so to speak, made telephone calls, and notified people. Well, oddly enough, the exact same thing that I was thinking is what the UK Daily Mail found out. And they said James Comey's decision to revive the investigation of Hillary Clinton's email server and a handling of classified material came after he could no longer resist mounting pressure by mutinous agents in the FBI, including some of his top deputies, according to a source close to the FBI director. The atmosphere at the FBI has been toxic ever since Jim announced last July that he wouldn't recommend an indictment against Hillary, said the source, a close friend who has known Comey for nearly 2 decades, shares family outings with him, and accompanies him to Catholic Mass every week. Some people, including department heads, stopped talking to Jim and even ignored his greetings when they passed him in the hall, said the source. They felt that he betrayed them and brought disgrace on the Bureau by allowing Hillary off with a slap on the wrist. But wait, there's more. He told his wife that he was depressed because, just as I forecast, there was an arseload of resignation letters piling up on his desk day by day from basically disaffected agents. The letters reminded him every day that morale on the FBI had hit rock bottom. Well, Jimmy, whose problem and responsibility is that? He's been ignoring the resignation letters in the hope that he could find a way of remedying the situation, said the source. When new emails that appeared to be related to Hillary's personal email server turned up in a computer used by her close aide, Huma Abedin, and Abedin's disgraced husband, Anthony Weiner, Comey jumped at the excuse to reopen the investigation. The people he trusts the most have been the angriest at him. Again, but wait, there's more. The source continued, and that includes his wife, Pat. She kept urging him to admit that he had been wrong when he refused to press charges against the former Secretary of State. It was, in fact...
What was the source for all that?
Mass insurrection. Somebody on the inside that they didn't want to quote. But from the people that I'd
credible?
Yes, it is very, very credible. And this has been brewing since July. I speak to a lot of people. I can't say a lot of people, but there are about 3 or 4 people that I still chat with every now and then.
You're speaking to thousands of people right now, BC. Don't sell yourself short.
And thank you. Thank you very much. And I call them to just touch base with regard to some things. And it turns out also today, we can touch this later on in the show after a couple of breaks, that what I thought about the revelation of the WikiLeaks emails, yes, it's where I thought they came from. But we can get to that later.
Yeah, we definitely will get to that later, Podesta, and the emails and a whole bunch of other things. So, if you
he was made a pariah within his own organization, and rightly so.
Absolutely.
Right. I agree. And it's one of those things that I really look at it. You look at the totality of this. I almost like, as Bill Cosby used to say, that's not your mother, that's an old woman trying to get into heaven. I almost wonder if he's trying to leave a legacy that clears him of this jackassery. I think he tried to play the political game. One of the things Comey is, if nothing else, is a little cocky. He has a tendency to insert himself where he doesn't belong. He has a tendency
There's
to
so much innuendo there.
I know. He thinks he's a little bit smarter, probably in the politics game. And I think that he found out the hard way that the politics he thinks he can play isn't even close to the same line of politics that D.C. plays.
I think that he folded under pressure for sure.
So that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, but I don't know that.
How can you be so bleeding daft or absolutely smitten with how wonderful you are that you could not foresee that this would create revolution within your own department?
Because
that speaks volumes right there.
Yeah,
to me.
but here's what I think. Here's why I think. I think, like Sean said, I think it's that level of cockiness and arrogance that he has for himself that he thought he'd be able to maintain the trust of the agents and control.
He thought he was a politician.
Because he's the boss.
He thought he was a politician. He sees all these other politicians. This stuff just goes away and leaks off of them. And he thought, hey, I've been around 20 years in Washington, 30 years or whatever it is. I can play this game. I know what they're at.
And this is going to run right off of me, and I'll be protected under the probable next president. But I think more about that is his reputation in the Bureau. I think that he thought it would be maintained because he's the boss.
Right.
As opposed to, wow, they're going to view me through my actions.
Well, look further down the line.
But that's what I think in his mind. That's what I think he thought. I'm the boss, so I'll maintain the respect because I've been here for a while.
My guess is that he's worried about the presidential election, that Republicans in Congress are going to mount a probe of how he granted Hillary political favoritism.
They are going to do that.
Well, and that's, I completely agree. Yeah. I don't think that's going to be avoided. And see, it's not just Comey, because when the abominations came in with regard to McCabe, his number 2 since January of this year, the assistant director, and Terry McAuliffe, and the wife, McCabe's wife, and the favoritism on behalf of the Democrats, it's all tied in, and it stinks to high heaven.
It does, but look, here's the thing.
Extra innings in the game, guys. Extra innings.
I was going to say that. All right, so thanks for listening to Sackheads Radio.
Yeah, right. We'll see you later.
But here's the thing. You have Republicans not knowing what they're going to have in this election. We'll cover the election here shortly. You have Republicans in Congress who kind of need a win because they really haven't done anything the last 2 years. They had a lot of ability to do it. Well, 2 specifically. Especially because the crew that's in there now ran as the change group, right? We're going to go in there and work this out. We're going to go in there and make some serious changes, and we're going to hold Obama accountable. Then they've done nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
They need a win. And if that means...
But here's the thing.
And the ones who came in 2 years ago have another 2. So if your win means that you're going to drag Comey out onto Congress floor and annihilate him,
so
then you do it.
So be it.
Right.
Yeah, look,
but I just mean for political gain.
Yes.
Yeah, but rightfully so also. Like, not just for political
exactly,
gain, but rightfully
exactly
so.
rightfully
It's the right thing to do,
He
but I'll
put
tell you
himself
why
there.
People are asking,
did.
well, this do
He
nothing
did.
Congress. No, they do something when it comes time to get reelected.
They do, but it doesn't mean that it's not the right thing in this case, because it is. So here's my thing about, look, let's say Hillary Clinton wins, which is the electoral map favors her, and I know we're going to get more into that here in the next segment, second part of the next segment. But if she wins, her administration is obviously going to be just, how is she going to be productive?
There are 5 separate FBI investigations concurrent within she and her orbiters.
So here's the problem. Number 1 is, right, the FBI falls under the executive, and that's her domain. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is, even if Congress, which is who is also conducting multiple investigations, and we already know these investigations are going to continue, if she steps down because she is unable to be effective in her position or unable to execute the job functions she's required to do because of these circumstances, that means we're going to be stuck with Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And the House and the FBI may find this evidence or whatnot, and let's say they might impeach her, because there's obviously a lot there. But do you really think the Senate's going to convict? Particularly if the Senate is 50-50 and the deciding vote is the VP?
Right.
Unless he wants power.
Well,
unless he wants the presidency.
Yeah, but then you're looking at screwball.
Yeah.
But more importantly, though, you may, have a couple Democrats who aren't party line guys.
You know what? You look at Bill.
Yes, because once the pressure is off,
right,
they'll change.
Right.
You had Cuckoo Clock McCain as a Republican who wouldn't vote to convict Bill Clinton when it was clear that he perjured himself.
Well,
so do you really? I don't have a lot of faith in the Democrats voting for a conviction for Hillary Clinton. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't. That they might. I just don't see it happening.
By the way, it is pouring right now in Cleveland. Pouring rain.
Could you imagine if they have to stop this series?
Ken was saying that in the chat room.
Could you imagine if they have to stop and pick up play
The most
tomorrow?
exciting final game ever in recent memory of baseball.
Yeah, have to stop for rain.
Just went into a rain delay.
What?
Oh, Lord.
Yes, they need to delay this for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing. This is the Lord doing this for.
First of all, I
want
want to look. I have to give credit where credit is due. The exceptional one. Thank you for saying prayers. And God, thank you for answering his prayers to have this show supersede the World Series and to put that on hold for us and our listeners. So thank you.
All right, quick, let's get into politics.
Okay.
Before we go to break.
So I don't have a lot of faith that the Democrats will, in the Senate, will convict. I guess it's always possible. It'd be really interesting if it's 50-50 split along party lines and Kane wants power. So he votes to convict and she gets convicted and then he seizes the presidency. I think that would be amazing on so many different levels, but the downside of that is he could then go next time and say, hey, I went against my own party and convicted the president of the United States.
Right, because it was the right thing to do.
Because
and that's what I care about.
I am.
Now you're going to have to support me.
Yep, and the country would support him.
Right, I think a lot of people, you'd pick up a lot of conservatives.
You could, you would pick up,
A
you
lot
may
of
even pick
people.
up the sackheads.
No.
Well, let's not.
Let's not go crazy.
Now.
But you'd have a lot of
But we would give him credit.
I would absolutely give him credit. Oh, as nutty as he is, I would absolutely give him credit for making the right decision. Listen, I'd also give credit if Joe Biden walks out with an armful of printed emails and been like, oh, by the way, somebody left these in my office, and hands them over to the press. Like, because I don't care what anyone says. I think Joe's dying a little inside watching her get elected.
Do you really?
Yes. Yes, or potentially elected, rather. I think it is, because he said no for the right reason. I give the guy a lot of credit. It's a hard thing to say no to. But he could have beat her with all... Think about it. If you're Joe Biden and all this stuff that's come up, you would have beat her into the primary.
I completely concur. If nothing else, he would have had the sympathy vote.
Yeah. Yep.
And that counts for a lot, considering what occurred to him.
And even now...
he would probably win.
He probably could have won. Joe was their best bet.
Yeah.
And Joe could have won because, as we've talked about before, as screwy as Joe can be, Joe's a little bit more old-school politician. He's not as kooky progressive as everybody else is.
No, he's not.
He would have done his for and out.
He's fairly political savvy.
Yeah.
She's not.
Yep. And no, exactly. Joe's old school. He knows how to take care of things. And he gets everybody in D.C., and I swear I've heard this in a million different places, everyone who works in D.C. that knows Joe likes Joe.
Likable. He is likable.
As a person, he is a very likable human being. Outside of the politics, he remembers everyone's names. He knows kids. He's just a great person.
He's wacky, but he means well.
He's the weird uncle,
yes,
right?
he is.
And that's
the
fine.
The best part, Joe Biden does not drink.
At all. At all.
He does not drink at all.
Really?
This is a true statement.
Yep.
We have personal knowledge.
Yep. He is not a drinker.
We talked about how we know
So-
this with the break.
Okay, then I'm going to have
drink.
I'm going to have
His
to believe
wife
you
is
on this.
batshit crazy, different story. But he does not drink.
Okay.
I'm pulling up before we go to break. And White Mamba in the chat room. If you're not in the chat at shrmedia.com,
It's probably because you're watching the game. And I don't
know,
blame you.
everybody is. He's pulling up the Doppler map of Cleveland for us right now and taking a look-see here. And it looks like they may be hitting some rain for a little bit.
Good. So hopefully about an hour.
Yeah, so it's 11:51 local time, right? Almost midnight. And
you know both teams are...
honestly, this might clear out by 12:15 local time, which would be 10:15 our time.
Perfect.
So we'll keep our fingers
There you
crossed.
go.
I'm not an AccuWeather forecast.
Yes, you sounded good for one, though. Keep it
Hey,
up.
we may have to close it down 5 minutes early to make sure we get into our cars.
But we have this cell here moving in from the southwest. It's currently over the 480 and the 90, pouring into Cleveland. You get some heavy spots of yellow in the Doppler radar. That's going to bring some heavy bands of rain right over the Jake.
Yeah, hey, Anchorman. Yeah. Hey, let's go ahead and get into commercial break so we can get this show on the road.
All right, we'll be back here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Now with weather.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying Kaufman is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Of course, I'm joined by the amazing Sackhead Clinton, the outstanding Sackhead bloviating Zeppelin, the
That's
longest
right,
name.
cats and kittens. We've got weather, news, and traffic at the half hour.
Look, I'm just proud to be part of the #1 show on the SHR Media Network on Wednesdays between the hours of 8 and 10 Pacific.
Not sports related.
Not sports related. I'm happy. I'm thrilled.
Perhaps it's time for a medal.
Now, look, we have a wall full of awards in our time slot.
We do,
which is SHR awards, which are huge
every
in
year.
The studio.
Yeah. You're overdue, aren't you?
And
you're overdue for an award.
I am due for an award of some sort.
Overdue.
Yes. Overdue. I will agree with overdue. Yes. Oh, man. So, complicated by DNC revelations. So, the Podesta emails. These things get more fun as the days go on, don't they?
Well, let's talk Podesta emails, and let's talk about the fact that the chair gave Clinton the questions?
Yeah, so Brazil...
More than once?
Right. We've seen this 2 separate times. And CNN was charged with this with Roland Martin, right? He was involved in... Laughing, not Rowan Martin.
Again, there's only room in this brain for one, please.
But more recently, Donna Brazil, who
was that the wax named after her?
Yes.
Ew.
Who replaced Debbie Wasserman Schultz after the DNC, after it was found out through WikiLeaks that the DNC was fixing it for Bernie.
Of course, she got another job with HRC immediately.
Right. Immediately went over to the HRC club. Donna Brazil, who has replaced her, the head of the DNC, was working as a contributor for CNN.
Yep.
Found out that Hillary got not 1, but 2 questions from 2 different debates handed to her prior. Now, the left has come out, and their whole argument is, oh, well, Trump was a bad debater anyhow, so it really made no big difference. That's their excuse. They won't denounce the activity.
Right, that should not have happened.
Brazil is acting like it never happened to this day. She got in that fight with Megyn Kelly a couple weeks ago that was just crazy. And the DNC shows...
I'm not going to be persecuted.
Yeah. I'm a Christian woman. I understand persecution.
What?
What? No. Well, I'm asking you. And I'm not a big Megyn Kelly fan lately, but I give her credit. She put it on her, and this woman went insane. But the biggest telling one is the woman who, in Detroit, who was going to ask about, she's from Flint, was going to ask about the lead in the water, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Kind of an in-depth question, right? Mm-hmm. And when you get it from both candidates, it would be fair. But that's something that if you have knowledge ahead of time and you can do some research on it, listen, they were in Detroit, Flint just broke. I am sure that they did studying up on it. But when you have a very specific question, the information you can get to answer that question versus a general question is very, very different. But it goes down the path of the DNC is just friggin' filthy. Everybody knows the DNC is filthy.
Yep.
And there's more and more evidence every single day as to the amount of filth that just drools out of the fucking DNC. Now, let's push Brazil aside for a minute because the country's going to anyhow. Not that I advocate pushing women, but you know what I mean. You also have now the Podesta emails. 2 sets since we've last dropped. The biggest one out of this last set that dropped this morning, and one that dropped yesterday, I believe, the one that dropped yesterday was Clinton campaign staffers talking about Anthony Weiner and potentially sexting an underage girl. And the other big one that came out today was about Hillary's private server and the fact that they had to do something about it because news was starting to break about it. This is, as we discussed last week, this is after, of course, President Obama, who was then using a pseudonym email, also emailed from his BlackBerry to her private server account. So you have all of this information that has come out. Somebody immediately said, hey, well, doesn't that show intent? And I said, well, no, an argument I had with my brother-in-law yesterday, and he made a brilliant argument. We're both arguing the same side of the coin. Said, we still have to acknowledge the fact that there is no intent in the statute that was being discussed for the prosecution of Hillary Rodham Clinton. This idea that intent has to be there is a false narrative that was pushed by the left.
Yes, because anybody that knows anything about law, and we already had this discussion right here on Sackhead Radio, there are 2 types of laws of general intent and laws of specific intent. And you can tell the difference between the 2. It's this simple. If the law says, blah, 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 the violation of this law is with the intent to, blah, 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 there you go. That's a crime of specific intent. These crimes in which people delineated are crimes of general intent. But Comey was saying that, oh, no, she didn't have the intent. Well, you bleeding dolt, they're not crimes of specific intent.
Right.
And as we've said time and again, your job, James Comey, is to line up the pegs. Your job is not to decide how this is going to go. Your job is not to say how this is going to go. Your job is to do the investigation and then hand it over. You can't say what's going to happen, but you can recommend an indictment. You can recommend a grand jury, and then it's up to the DOJ to do that. But if you stop it even before it gets to DOJ, you're doing DOJ's job, and you're not allowing the natural transgression of things lawfully. And that's stepping in before he needs to step in.
What about the Justice Department giving the Clinton campaign heads-ups about testimony?
Well, yes, exactly, and that's
it
also new.
It just seems like it's just so many, and I know we only have 45 minutes left, and we have a lot still left to talk about in terms of Florida and the electoral map and all this stuff. But gosh, they're getting a heads up about testimony.
The game's resumed, guys.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh. Damn it.
Washington,
okay, good.
Washington Post just came out with a brand new article. As soon as you finish, I'd like to talk about it.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
This just came out on Drudge Report in big red letters. And it says that senior FBI officials were told of new emails, this new email batch, in early October, but wanted more information before renewing the Clinton probe. Senior FBI officials were informed about the discovery of new emails potentially relevant to the investigation of Hillary Clinton's private email server at least 2 weeks before Director James Comey notified Congress, according to federal officials familiar with the investigation. The officials said Comey was told that there were new emails before he received a formal briefing last Thursday, although the precise timing is unclear. The information goes beyond the details provided in the letter that Comey sent to lawmakers last week, declaring that he was restarting the inquiry into whether Clinton mishandled classified material during her tenure as Secretary of State. Ladies and gentlemen, what the hell?
So who wrote that? That's from Drudge?
That's from Washington Post.
That's Washington Post article.
Just came out from Washington Post under national security.
Okay. So the fact then, the FBI knew they had more emails and they were looking at it to see if it was worth it. From what I gathered, they look at it to see if it's worth anything. And then they restart the investigation, which tells me maybe it's worth something. Maybe there's something there. And if the Justice Department won't file charges, maybe a special prosecutor needs to be brought forth.
Well, this is interesting. The story also goes on to say the people familiar with the investigation said that senior officials had been informed weeks earlier that a computer belonging to former Congress, and it gets very specific, belonging to former Congressman Anthony Weiner, contained emails potentially pertinent to the Clinton investigation. Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, shared the computer with a husband from whom she is now separated. So now there is absolutely no equivocation whatsoever. They knew not just about emails in general, but they knew specifically about the emails in that laptop.
Yes.
This changes day to day. Every
Oh, yeah. And
day.
Look, how many people have already voted?
By the way, I found out today, that's a very interesting point. There are actually 4 states
They allow you
where
to
you can go
reconsider
back
your vote.
and change your vote.
Yes.
Yep.
Up to 3 times, I believe.
Yes,
In
Wisconsin
Wisconsin's up to
says
3
that you can
times.
change it up to 3 times. I had no idea.
California, did they let you do that?
No.
No, California takes your vote, marks a Democrat, and slams it in the thing for
Yeah.
you. I'm kidding. They don't do that.
Yes, they do.
In
Yes, they
every
do.
single state.
I
In every
believe so.
single county. I know of at least one county where that does not happen.
I know one county where that does not happen.
One that I can
One.
be positive about.
Yeah.
One.
It's not far from here.
But me having problems at the primary, I have little faith in some of the counties. You bring up the ever-expanding and the reopening of the case and these emails. Now, first and foremost, we know for a fact now with Podesta emails that Weiner's sexting was already on the DNC's radar.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about a war on women. It looks as if, from those Podesta emails, it looks as if they made a concerted effort to try to close that up, keep that from coming to light. So, you want to talk about the left taking care of women? No. When you're covering up a 15-year-old girl, mind you, this is the same party that defended Bill Clinton for his transgressions in the office. And if it was a grown-up, like the first woman that he was sexting, nobody would care. To be completely honest, nobody would have cared.
Right.
Whatever. It's between two grown adults. I don't even care per se, other than the comedic factor of it. Right? When it was Geraldo and Wiener the first time. Carlos Danger. How friggin' funny is that? But then, when you find out that not only is he a pervert, but it's with a child under the age of 18. Not a girl. And I keep saying that. I've corrected a couple people. It is a child. Stop trying to make it better by saying it's a girl, because a girl, depending on your colloquialism, could be anything from 15 to 40 or 50 or 60. Girl, gal, you hear it all the time. But it is a child that he was sexting, that the DNC members, and you know if they're talking about it with Podesta, Huma had to know.
Yep.
Never mind the fact that they're going to look for these pictures on the computer that she shares under a folder called life insurance. Not saying she has the time to go through every file he puts on there, but come on. You have to have some sort of knowledge, right? It was already after he was caught sexting the first time. Don't you think if she's being the suspicious wife, hey, is this still going on? Then you might come across this. Or when you don't care, per se, because it's no longer benefiting your political career, which everyone says their marriage was of convenience.
Bill and Hillary's?
Theirs as well.
Oh.
Then you turn around and you're not shocked, right? In a way, other than the fact that the girl's age, and okay, well, you know, it's Huma. I hate to say it, she spent 16 years in Saudi Arabia. That wasn't foreign for her, right? Young girls get married over there at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. So maybe that wasn't a shock to her conscience like it should be for those of us over here. And there's a great video
I don't know.
Kurt Schilling had that shows a history of Huma Abedin, and all of it is verifiable information that you can get about her connections to Saudi Arabia, her mother's connection, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and we look at the Saudi Arabian connection to the Clinton Foundation.
Exactly.
And all that stuff, of course.
So you start looking at the totality of it, and you say, hey, you know what? Maybe they did actively try to cover this up. Maybe Huma did know about those files and the emails, because he was emailing from her Yahoo account, allegedly, her personal one.
Yes, Huma Abedin at yahoo.com. I don't think it gets more obvious than that.
Real tough one.
Yeah.
That's like social security number at .com, like yahoo.com. Hey, what's your email? Oh, it's my social security number. It's blah, 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 blah. I mean, you couldn't identify yourself anymore. But when the left is out this week, Hillary's out talking about women, trying to go back to that emotional woman vote, right? That's where she's at now in Arizona.
She has to, because
she has nothing else.
What else is there?
But on one hand, she's out there doing this and people are giving her accolades. On the other hand, it is found that her right-hand girl, and
in more ways than one,
maybe, and her acolytes are actively trying to protect the campaign from a sexting scandal with the 15-year-old girl and the husband at the time of Huma Abedin. Now, we have seen Huma Abedin come off the campaign trail. Mm-hmm. I said today on Facebook, why hasn't somebody photoshopped her face onto a Where's Waldo or Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Huma Abedin?
Who cares?
She's no longer. It's a big deal, though.
No, it is, but it's a big deal, the fact that she's not there. But do we really care?
I do.
Why?
I do, because it's one of two things, right? We have to get you off the campaign trail so this distraction isn't in everyone's face, or you were told not to travel.
Or it could be both.
Right. But it is kind of a big deal.
I don't care what the reason is. And I understand what you're saying, and I agree that it's significant.
Right.
The bigger deal for me is the fact that with all of these connections, with all of this stuff coming out, there are still Americans that are going to vote for this woman.
Yes.
That blows my mind.
That's a staggering
being
statement.
told it's 7-6, the team from Chicago.
That blows my
far.
mind that we have that's almost as bad, if not worse to me, than somebody not knowing the significance of December 7th. The fact that you have Americans that are willing to disregard as political such clear, damning evidence.
But now these days
of criminality.
It goes so far beyond that. It's not just some. It is yes, it is clear. It is damning evidence. Yes, it is. But the amount of evidence is staggering.
And the fact that almost 50% of the American population is okay with this.
Yes.
They're willing to put her in the White House.
Polling-wise. Let's be cautious. Polling-wise.
Polling-wise. It seems... Okay, there's... Polling or not, there's a significant amount of people in this country that are willing to put this person in the White House.
More than there should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Over somebody they just don't like because he's an asshole.
Right. One out. The team from Chicago has bases loaded, and they're up 7-6 for those who are following along. I agree with you, Clint, but I also, and we talked about polling, we've talked about polling before, and I think it's time to talk about the electoral map. We can shift into that a little bit for a few minutes.
Yeah, and we can, and I want to get into that. Look, it's possible. It is possible that this ends in a tie, in which case Trump wins because the House picks the president.
Right.
But it is possible for it is possible for an electoral tie.
I am looking at it this way.
Yeah.
And you look at the polling. We've talked about polling. We've talked about polling. We've talked about polling. You go back to 1980 with Carter and Reagan, and 2 months before the election, Carter was up 70-30. A month before the election, he was up by 10, and then all of a sudden, a week before the election, it's almost tied. So you look at the polling now, and what a lot of people who study polls, not 8-6 team from Chicago, not the people who give the polls, but people who study polls and know polls, are starting to come out and say, hey, you have two different effects on polling right now. You have the people who do not want to admit in public because of the amount of backlash that you get
Correct.
that they will vote for Donald Trump.
Correct.
Even if it's only to protect SCOTUS, right? You also have the group of people on the left who say, I'm going to vote for Hillary because she's a Democrat, blah, blah, to their friends and everybody else.
Yes, and that's the end of that.
And then you walk in, and they're not going to pull the handle. They have that moment of conscience. So,
or they just don't vote.
Right. And the other thing is the independents and the Bernie supporters. More and more Bernie supporters are leaning towards Trump, being the outsider politically. The Johnson supporters, if you will, the little L's, which he's still pulling.
Isn't that called a jockstrap?
Jockstrap. The jockstraps are still pulling 4 or 5%. That's a pretty big percentage when you're talking about a virtual tie in the polls. 3% could put you over the top. Well, I'll tell you right now that I think you'll see a vast amount of the Johnson supporters go in and pull a handle, and it's not going to be for Hillary, because they understand what the SCOTUS thing is too, and they could. I think they're a group that are passionate and moving into the direction they want to go right up till that day, and then have the conscious argument of, okay, we have to start earlier next time to get more support for our player, but we can't let Hillary in. But libertarians are smart. And they know, and a lot of them are like guns. So you start looking at that. Brexit. Great story Agador told me about a friend who went to sleep thinking Brexit was a done deal, and she lost, and then she woke up, and it wasn't until she looked at his Facebook that she found out that Brexit won. The Brexit polling was a stay overwhelming.
Yeah.
As we've called on this show, this past week, the polling has come within 2%, 1%. The national average of pollings, it doesn't matter about sampling, what everybody else.
That's margin of error.
Is within the margin of error.
Right there, period.
Well, so one poll has Trump up by 1.
More. There was another poll, and it may have been Rasmussen or somebody else, one of the big poll names, had him up by 2 or 3.
It's very possible that Trump gets the popular vote, but loses the electoral vote as well.
Yes, that's one aspect. This just came out, I'm peeking around through here, from Gateway Pundit. Breaking: FBI now 99% certain at least 5 foreign agencies hacked into Hillary's server. Lou Dobbs investigations.
How did they not know that before?
99% sure that as many 5 foreign intelligence agencies were able to hack into the Clinton email server, per Lou Dobbs
That's on
tonight.
Gateway Pundit.
Yeah. And it's from FBN.
And Jersey Joe, Fox Business News. Jersey Joe brought up a really good point. And I believe it was the third or the fourth Project Veritas video James O'Keefe put out. One of the top pollsters for the left, talking to a union boss, the boss had them lie because Republicans were up by 11 points. And there's a full-on conversation about the union boss telling the pollster to lie about it. He says it. Joe said it. I'm starting to think, and I said it to you the other night, I think it could very well be a landslide. You could have a lot of people now who are already on the fence and like, with this latest investigation, with Project Veritas, Podesta emails, and listen, folks, 6 more days, there's going to be a couple more WikiLeaks drops. And I have a feeling the biggest ones will come either tomorrow or Monday.
Here's what's interesting for me with this electoral map. Since this news dump, since all this information came up, we've seen a couple states that were lean Democrat moved over into the toss-up category. Mm-hmm. Those are Florida and Nevada. Mm-hmm. But then you see 2 states that were Republican move the other direction. How does Alaska go from solid Republican to lean Republican, and North Carolina go from a toss-up to a lean Democrat? So there's a mix-up in this electoral polling that's showing that there are some people that are galvanizing behind Hillary. It's almost like it's emboldening some of them.
On the other hand, what do we know about the people in the Electoral College? Are they bound to vote?
Yes.
Yes, they're bound to vote, but are they bound to vote for their specific... Are they bound to vote Democrat? Are they bound to vote Republican? No, they're not.
Well, and
so
you
they
also
can go in there and vote for whoever
they
the hell
can
they want.
vote for whoever
but the people are voting
they
for those electors.
want.
So if the people of California are voting for Hillary electors, I mean, they could always change their mind, I guess.
Well, I think we already know where California is going.
Well, but you also have, in Jersey Joe brought this up, his home state, Florida's not really a toss-up anymore. More and more polls are saying that Florida will most likely go to Trump. It's not dead red, but it's a less shade of purple as it has been.
And what have people historically said about not just Florida, but Ohio?
Yeah. And you're seeing Michigan be purple, a notoriously blue voting state. Be purple right now. So you can't, I don't think you can trust any of this polling. I don't think you can trust these maps.
If Trump wins Florida and Ohio, does he win?
No. He still has
historically,
to take Utah.
if you take those two,
I'm
history
sorry.
has indicated that, yes, your chances are much better.
Now, if he takes Ohio, Florida, and Pennsylvania...
I'm not quite sure where Pennsylvania comes in.
There's like 20... What's Pennsylvania? 22, 26 electoral votes?
22, I think. Because they have a couple big metropolitan areas. He definitely needs Pennsylvania. But it was polling in his direction recently, as was Virginia. You start looking at some of the states that are starting to go his direction, that's pretty huge, right? It means the rubber's going to meet the road. And I think that, listen, it could be a lot less close than people think come election night. We're up against a break. When we come back,
we're going to continue talking about this election.
We will continue talking about this election.
And I'd like to talk about where the WikiLeaks emails came from.
Another big one that you talked about here a couple weeks ago, and there's been an update with
I
that.
Did.
Stick around here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Chi-Town's still up at bat, up to 8 to 6 right now. We're monitoring for you. We are also monitoring the weather from the SHR Media Weather Center.
Those weather and traffic.
Right here after the break. Stick around.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying Kaufman is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network. It's time for a sports break. Boop, boop, boop. Middle of the 10th. It is 8-6 Cleveland. Correction,
Cleveland.
Chicago.
Oh.
Now that everyone just had a major heart
Yeah,
attack.
no kidding. Cardiac infarction.
It's 8-6.
AED, bring out the
Chicago,
AED.
they are playing through the rain. So we'll keep you posted
This
here.
will be their first win in, 108 years?
Yeah, 108.
Their first World Series win?
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Chicago will go insane one way or the other here very, very shortly. So we'll just have to monitor that.
Well, they have to do something extraordinary to match the 600 homicides this year so far.
They could double it in a night. So,
oh, that's positive.
Sorry.
Way to go, Sean. Sean's
now-
opinion is
and
not
now
reflective
this
of
bit
SHR Media
Yeah, now this
Corporation
bit
or
of
of the Sackheads
optimism
Radio Show
from
in any
Sackhead
way, shape,
Sean.
or form. Sackhead Sean's opinion is his opinion. It's his and his alone, not shared by anybody else in the network.
That's the funniest thing I said all night. Ken McClinton in the chat room says that Hillary Clinton's team has the Indians leading 8-6 versus the Chicago Cubs. So I said
Who's the
Chicago
Cubs?
The Chicago Club.
Okay.
So you never know. So before we went to break, we were talking about Podesta emails and polling and the electoral map. And Clint definitely had some words to say about this so far. And the hardest part for me is watching. I'm not answering that, Agador. Is watching the mainstream media pervert the entire election.
Everything.
And now the last week is here, and all of a sudden they're starting to push back a little bit. Not a lot, but you see it in some of the on some of the network shows and stuff like that. You see it on some of the opinion shows. It's almost like the concern about which side of history you're going to be on, because nobody's going to remember the 9 months up to it.
Right.
They're going to remember the last couple interviews. They're going to remember the last couple polls, which is why NBC could throw out a bullshit poll 2 weeks ago, but the next one they put out will be tight, because that's the poll that people are going to go back to.
Right.
They want to be on the right side of history, because the last thing they want to be marked by their own people is a fraud, even if they are.
One out.
One out now. This is crazy. This is just crazy.
And we're here.
And it's not raining.
And it's not raining.
Well, here's a good yardstick to measure what's happening. I just went to Drudge right now, and here's the top stories on Drudge. Washington. Well, this is the one I just read. Washington Post. FBI Director Comey was told of new emails in early October. Wanted more information before renewing probe into Hillary. Developing. Weiner tries sex clinic. FBI focusing on classified info in Huma emails. Republicans have cast 17,000 more votes than Dems in Florida. Independents lean Trump. Obama worries blacks won't back her. Hillary eats soul food to boost lagging turnout. Kenyans to monitor U.S. election. Wiki exposes Clinton DOJ collusion. More State Department coordination with campaign. Pat Cadell, they're looking desperate. Trump tops Clinton in statewide high school vote. Republicans rise in Farm Belt. Top Clinton donor. Blacks are fucked in the head. And Farrakhan, Hillary is Hitler to us.
It is amazing how quickly things have started to change.
So let me read top stories here on under politics under the Huffington Post.
Oh, perfect. I want to hear this.
Even if Trump loses, white nationalists say they've won. HuffPost Hill, Nazis to pound pavement skulls for Trump. Black Mississippi church burned and vandalized with vote Trump. Video shows Donald Trump with alleged mobster he denied knowing. New polls show Hillary Clinton leading in most key states. Chuck Schumer says he's lost confidence in James Comey. Does Peter Thiel know who invented email? Obama nicks FBI director on Clinton emails. We don't operate on innuendo.
Okay,
the unskewed polls guy thinks Clinton will win.
That's funny. I was just watching and listening to a white supremacist say that they were voting for Hillary Clinton.
Yes. And that church that burned, don't you think even the dumbest Trump supporter knows that in a race this close, to burn a black church and put vote Trump on the side would do more damage than good? That's an obvious setup.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, but it's okay to burn RNC headquarters in Virginia.
Hey,
that's fine.
That's fine.
Best story I saw this week was the pound of manure dropped off in front of the DNC office somewhere in the Midwest. Didn't hurt the building, didn't affect the building. They just dropped off a ton of manure.
Just stinky.
Or like I said, they dropped off a ton of Hillary Clinton's campaign promises.
That's
from,
grand.
Ken McClinton from Fox News. 2 outs now. FBI sources believe Clinton Foundation case moving toward likely an indictment. Brett Baier, FBI sources believe Clinton Foundation moving towards indictment. Fox News Channel's Brett Baier reports the latest news about the Clinton investigation from 2 sources inside the feds. He reveals 5 important new pieces of information in 2 short clips. And the clips are on the Fox News website. So a lot's going on all of a sudden. Three balls, 0 strikes, 2 outs, 0 people on, bottom 10, just an FYI. So there's a lot of news going around that is very, very contrary to what we've heard the last couple months. It's absolutely crazy. Clint, how do you see some of these swing states going? How do you see this latest reopening affect this election? Seriously, overall.
That's my thought too.
Look, the electoral map favors Democrats. It usually does.
Always has.
So I would not be surprised if I think it's very possible that Trump takes the popular vote and Hillary still gets the White House. And I think if that happens, I agree with Trump that we will be in a constitutional crisis.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of scandal and so forth associated with her. She'll be very ineffective, in my opinion.
1 on. 2 outs. Tying run to the plate.
Tying run to the plate. But, you know, I don't know. I can't even make a prediction because this election is so screwy.
It's never happened like this before.
It's never happened
ever.
like this. And so I can see a landslide where people don't want to vote for Hillary because they can't do it. So I can see a landslide victory for Trump just as easily as I could see him win the popular vote and lose the electoral vote. I've also envisioned, I've played with the electoral map several ways, and I can also envision an electoral tie, just because things are so screwy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question: electoral tie, popular vote. Then what?
Then it goes to the House.
Electoral tie, period. It goes to the House.
Right.
And
so you're going to have Trump
gets
win.
elected.
You're going to have Trump win at that point.
Yeah.
I think everything you've seen in this, oh my goodness.
Tie?
8-7, runner on second, 2 outs.
How are we missing this? This is ridiculous.
This is insane. You have Edwards pitching for the team in Chicago. And Rajay Davis, the former Oakland A's, hit a single and then advanced to second, scoring the run on the throw. So I think you have I think one of the things you see coming out of this, which is why Hillary is really starting to pound the pavement for the female vote again, is I think you're going to have a low Democrat turnout. Way, way lower than anyone's predicting.
I believe that to be correct, yes.
I think you're going to have Democrats who are absolutely just infuriated, as mad as the Never Trumpers are and the Republican parties. I think the Dems are that much madder, only they're quiet about it. Listen, you don't want to. If you come out as a Democrat right now and you attack Clinton, all your friends go crazy. Follow social media, right? Facebook is an amazing pulse on how people react.
Mm-hmm.
You put a pro-Trump thing on your Facebook page, you hear from every Democrat that's ever seen your page, and they chime in and bitch and moan or whatever. Mm-hmm. If you are a Democrat and you put an anti-Hillary statement on your Facebook page, it's like being charged with treason. They want to draw and quarter you. They don't care. They can't believe that you would dare go against the Messiah. You're biting the hand that feeds in many examples. It's absolutely crazy. We have a pitching change in Cleveland right now. Just FYI,
Did you know
on second.
Clint is busy writing over here?
I know.
Busy
he's
writing.
I'll tell you what I'm doing.
He's working out in Electoral College. He's working out the tie.
And here's what a tie looks like. So, if Trump takes Florida, Ohio, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, Utah,
yes,
which is all very possible.
Yes.
And he takes the additional 2 additional votes in Nebraska, which is possible. He takes Iowa, which is possible, and he takes New Hampshire, which is tough, but he takes New Hampshire. And Hillary takes Wisconsin and and Maine, and the additional electoral vote in Maine, you end in a 269-269.
Anything's possible, right?
So
the only thing is with New Hampshire, and people forget about this, you have the mass hole effect in New Hampshire, where you have a lot of Democrats that have moved up from Massachusetts. But you also have a very large conservative base in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of people who are independents, I think, that connect more personally to Trump's kind of speaking, being in the Northeast, that...
and it's listed as toss-up right now, as is one of the electoral votes for Maine. So if Trump takes, look, right now as the electoral map stands, there's 123 electoral votes kind of up for grabs in battleground states. As solid or leaning Democrat, Hillary has the 258. And this is on the 270towin.com site. Hillary has 258. Trump, with Republican or leaning Republican, has 157. So if we give Trump Florida, Georgia, and Ohio, that immediately closes it up from 258 to 220. And that's with Pennsylvania being solid blue. That's with and they have 20 electoral votes. That's with Pennsylvania not going.
Mama just said Cubs win. What happened?
Game is over. Game is over. Cubs win. Cubs win. Hold on. I had to queue up Harry Carey for that. Your 2016 World Series champions, after 108 years, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Chicago Cubs. Congratulations to the Cubs.
No kidding. I couldn't be happier. And I'm not a baseball fan, and I love the hell out of the Chicago Cubs. That's a great job. Tight, hard fought.
Very, very hard fought. The Indians go down, and the Cubs win. 108 years. That's absolutely insane. And I feel, listen, I've been there. As a Sox fan, I was there. So I'm happy for them.
You bet.
I didn't have a horse in the race, so there's reasons I like both teams.
I don't follow baseball that much, but I was pulling for the Cubbies just for that reason.
Yep. So, the Cubs win weekend too. I think that's the way to look at it. By the way, the news alert on my phone really quick. Let's see, how many thousands of listeners? Oh, yeah, you're up to almost 20,000 listeners to the Chicago Police Department. And then Cleveland all of a sudden is up to 3,000 listeners. So, two cities may burn tonight. For two totally different reasons.
I was just going to say for entirely two different reasons.
So, go ahead, Clint. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so with those states I just talked about, that brings it to 258 for Hillary, 220. With the true toss-ups being Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Iowa, Wisconsin, North Carolina, New Hampshire, and the one electoral vote in Massachusetts. What can I think? One electoral vote in Maine. So, and this is again with Pennsylvania going solid 20. So I want to reset this real quick. And do you guys think Pennsylvania is blue or going blue, or do you think? Make a prediction.
I don't think it's going to go blue.
Pennsylvania's going red or blue?
I think it's going to go red. I really do.
I don't have enough information. I really don't know.
All right, so we're going to turn it. We're going to turn it red. Florida, give me a prediction.
Red.
Sean?
I think Florida's going to Trump.
Okay, Georgia.
Oh, purple. I'm going to call that purple.
I need a red. I need a red or a blue, and I need 2 votes to change it.
Red.
Sean?
I'm going to go blue.
Okay. North Carolina.
I think North Carolina goes red at the end. I really do.
Okay. Red. Arizona.
Red.
Yeah.
I'm going to go red.
Yeah, I'd have to.
Okay. Nevada.
Nevada's going to go red after everything I've been recently reading.
I don't know that much about Nevada now.
Okay, we're keeping
most
it then.
recently.
Utah is going to go red. You have that guy up there.
Yeah, what's that guy's name?
Murdoch? Maddox? Yeah, I forget his name.
He's pulled a lot of votes out.
So is it going red or blue?
But I think it'll go red. I don't think
people
are going to show up for him.
Red?
No, I think it's going to go red.
Nebraska, one electoral vote red or one electoral vote blue?
Red.
Split it, because they were purple.
So you're saying Nebraska give one electoral vote blue?
Yep.
And you're saying give
Red.
that electoral vote red?
Yep,
Then
split
I
it.
can't change it. Maine, give it red or blue?
Maine's going to go blue.
Solid blue,
yeah.
the one electoral vote?
Yeah.
Solid blue? Changed. Iowa.
Iowa's going red.
Agreed.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's going to go red.
Red.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
Wow. Ohio.
Red.
I'll agree.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire's.
Nah.
I'm going to call red for New Hampshire.
What are we calling BZ?
Blue.
Okay, then I'm not changing that. Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania's going to go red. I think he's going to
Don't-
carry it.
Don't know.
I think
So,
you're going to see a
all
lot
right.
of the people who
So-
want to go back
so
to work.
With as everything agrees with what we agree on, Democrats have 239, Republicans have 252. Here's what you guys could not agree on. Nevada with 6 electoral votes, Georgia with 16 electoral votes, Pennsylvania with 20, New Hampshire with 4, and Nebraska's 1 additional electoral vote. You guys could not agree on. So this is the map as the sackheads see it
right now.
right now. 259 to 239 to 252, with Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, and 1 Nebraska vote in dispute.
Favoring red.
Favoring red, but all
It's not
Hillblog
enough.
has to do is take. Both of them. Both of them. I mean, Trump takes Georgia and Nevada. It's done.
Well, I think he takes Nevada. I think Georgia's an uphill battle for him. I really do. I think Georgia.
So let's play out Sean's way.
Yeah, I would say that Nevada's going to be more
let's play
of a
out
given than with Georgia.
Hang on, so let's do the sackhead game here. So let's go Sean and BZ. And the states we're talking about are Georgia, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Nebraska, and Nevada. So Sean, you're up first. You're saying Nevada is?
Nevada's going to go red.
Okay. And you say Georgia?
Blue.
Okay. And you say Nebraska, 1?
1.
1 vote blue?
1 vote blue.
Okay. And you say Pennsylvania is?
I think it's going to go red.
Okay. And New Hampshire?
New Hampshire, I think, is going to go red.
Okay, so with Sean's electoral, that means Trump takes it 283 to 254.
Nice.
Screenshot it.
Now let's reset this. I don't
Nice.
want to do that.
Well done, Sean.
Let's reset this now for BZ, and we'll see what BZ comes up with.
6 minutes.
All right. So BZ, Nebraska, is it staying red?
Red.
Okay. Nevada,
Red.
Georgia,
Red.
Pennsylvania.
Don't know.
So we're going to count that blue. New Hampshire.
What about Guam?
Don't know.
Somebody's asking in the chat room. What about Guam?
Okay, so according to BZ, I just put your don't know as blue because we're going to worst case scenario.
Right.
According to BZ, Trump wins 275 to 263.
Nice job, BZ.
Good job, BZ. To answer your question about Guam, Ken, according to a certain representative, Guam will eventually tip over.
If it has not already.
If it has not already, that's right. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. And he also had another dumbass statement recently, too, that was just out of control. I can't remember, but that was one of my favorites.
He's always good for sound bites.
Here's where I split from BZ. I split from BZ on Nevada.
You think it's going to go blue?
I give Nevada to the blue. And with that one change, Nevada blue, that gives a 269 to 269 electoral split.
Yeah, you're really pushing
how
that
many-
split, aren't you?
I think it's...
Do you want to see it personally?
I
Is that what's
kind of
going on?
do.
Yeah.
I kind of do.
Because Trump will still win.
Yes.
So
Well, how
it
many
would be
does
an
Nevada have?
amazing-
6.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really want to see a 260. And this map is very possible.
It's an amazing...
Because I came up with one way that gets to 269, 269, and then the way I said it, Nevada did not go to Hillary. So in this map right here, where Nevada goes to Hillary, it's 269, 269. So that's a second way to get a 269, 269. So
Okay,
wow.
Sean, here's what I suggest. Clint needs to keep that envelope because if he's right and Trump wins, I will pay to have that framed. So, Clint, you cannot get rid of that envelope on which you wrote all your prognostications. That can't be.
I think it's possible. I mean, we know it's possible,
right?
But it's actually like legitimately possible.
Fairly likely. Hey, listen, 4 minutes ago here on the Big Show, the Sackheads Radio Show, Clint, this week predictions. Anything you see coming down the pike?
I think the Republicans are going to lose.
It's not pipe; it's pike.
I think the Republicans are going to lose a couple seats in the Senate. I think it's more likely that I think it's more than a 50-50 shot that they're going to lose the Senate. And when I think it's just as possible they keep it, but I think it's going to be close. My prediction is they're going to lose a couple seats in the Senate. I'm not going to say how many.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say whether they're going to maintain control or not because it's way too close, and I can't make that prediction with the data that's out there.
Okay, quick question for you from Ken.
Yeah.
Can the House select somebody other than Clinton and Trump in a tie?
You know what, Ken? For your personal development, I'm going to send you to research that and get back to us next week.
Right, have a report on his desk
Great
no
answer.
later than noon tomorrow.
Personal development.
Personal development as an SHR Media
and because
member and contributor.
We would say normally next Wednesday, but because you know how Clint is, he's only giving you till Tuesday.
Right.
So
yeah, you get 2/3 the amount of time as you would otherwise get.
Mamba says he predicts the Cubs will win the World Series in 2016. Now to
Attaboy,
get
Mamba.
in the DeLorean in place
Attaboy,
his
Mamba.
bets.
BZ, everything from Podesta, whatever. What do you see coming this week?
There are this is a direct result of when you threaten to drone Julian Assange. You can expect this to occur. I think there's going to be more buttery goodness coming out in emails, and I think there's a lot of stuff that we really haven't seen much of. Some of that is going, I believe, to include just a bit more about the Lolita Express.
I think there's going to be something about Lolita Express in there. I also think if you look at the emails that have been released and you look at the gaps and the dates from different people, you see a couple months here, a couple months there. Just on the WikiLeaks leak, you start trying to match that up to what was going on historically that we know about or don't know about. It's going to be interesting. Clint.
I have a show title for Tuesday.
Election.
Let's hear it.
The Race to 269.
The Race to 69.
Okay. 269.
The Race to 69.
The Race to 69.
The Race to 69.
Yes, because that's what I want both candidates to get.
We're not.
You know why? Because then everybody gets a trophy.
We're not calling it that. It's an election night coverage.
No,
not
it's
a
the
sack
Race
ish.
269.
No.
I think that's beautiful.
No,
I'm tweeting it.
No, you can tweet whatever you want.
I expect likes and retweets. Sean.
Of course, Clint. We'll get right on that. No problem. Once again, congratulations to the Chicago Club.
Let's recover the Cubbies of
There's a
one.
reason for that. It's the World Series 2016 champions. We'll be back Tuesday starting at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Hang on.
And this will be, in fact, on Tuesday, the best of late night radio. Ladies and gentlemen, you must tune in
For the
to
greatest election
Sackheads.
country coverage in the
In the galaxy.
Next week, the Race to 269.
We'll be right here, 5 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, Election Day.
No, Little Kim.
Oh, Erection Day.
Erection Day.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. Tune in Tuesday. Check out all the great shows between now and then on the SHR Media Network.
Yes.
BlovianExemple.net at BZ on Twitter. If you put that in, you pop
That's
right
right.
up, my friend.
At BZEP and, of course, Sackheads Radio, SHR Media, Conservative Media, done.
Right.
Right.
We'll see you next week.
On the Race to 269.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Tackheads Radio.
Tack News. Tack News.
Radio.
Tack News. Tack News.
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.